Hi everybody, welcome to this video here on G4G on YouTube. Today we're taking a look at some issues that are currently going on with the game Am Setsuna. So Am Setsuna was made by Tokyo RPG Factory, which was made by Square to create this retro homage RPG. Now there's been a lot of hype surrounding the game prior to it coming out, and everybody was like, oh yay, this is going to be the second coming of the Chrono games and Chrono Trigger, and it's just going to be awesome, and you know, it's just a throwback to classic but still slightly involved RPGs, and it's going to be phenomenal. Well, when the game dropped, a little bit of darkness crept into the Am Setsuna hype, and it crept in, and it crept in, and it kept getting further and further until people realized that maybe the hype was just a little too hypey. So one of the first things that started to irritate people was the fact that it was an all-piano score. It's good and bad. There are times when I think the piano sets the right mood, and there are times when the piano is just kind of muted and in the background and just gives good ambiance to the scene, kind of like just good background low piano that fits like a snow scene or a crystal cave like this, or an ice cave. But then there are times when it's just too much, and you almost, if you close your eyes, you can get a mental image of your junior high music teacher just in the corner in a school theater, a school auditorium, just playing like Peter and the Wolf soundtrack kind of a thing going on over here. And when I said that in my review a while back, I began to hear it in other reviews when people were doing it. I don't remember who exactly it was now, but you know, one of the ones of either IGN or Kotaku or something like that basically said the exact same thing in the exact same way, that it was like a high school, junior high auditorium play piano kind of a thing going on. And they're absolutely right, and this is no Jedi mind trick. People are arriving at this conclusion because that's exactly what it sounds like. And it's unfortunate because really good RPGs, I believe, have had really good soundtracks. Chrono Cross, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy X, you know, and even 8 and 9 in between those still had really good soundtracks. But I mean, go listen to the Chrono Cross soundtrack and Chrono Trigger, and they're amazing, and they fit so well. And if you know those games very well from childhood or, you know, teenagedom and everything like that, the moment you hear those songs, you're like, oh yeah, that was this, and that was this, and oh yeah, and this is when this happened. This game fails to capture that because of just having a piano soundtrack. One instrument, and at times being overly dramatic and cheesy, doesn't cut it. So then we had a few other mechanics that a lot of people complained about, but I was okay about because you kind of had to realize what was going on. One such example was the lack of an inn. There is no way to recharge your hit points and magic points unless you are using potions or tents. You can't walk into a village and be like, oh, I'm going to stay at the inn, and then everything's fine. There was even a point in the game where the character's like, well, we'll just rest here while so-and-so does their business. And I'm like, oh, please God, can you guys fucking fall asleep already and just recharge? Well, they didn't. Come to find out, and how I feel about it, I consider that a nuance more than a problem, and a lot of reviews showed it as a problem. It's a nuance in that it becomes tactical to use leveling up to your advantage. When you level up in this game, you are fully restored to max health and max mana. So one of the things that you could do is plan out battles based around that. For example, if I know that Endir is about ready to ding in the next fight, I might have him cast Aura to get a lot of heals out on people, and then I get a full recharge of my mana when he levels up. Or, okay, the Oron looking dude is low on hit points, but he's just about ready to ding, and he's the only one. I'll just allow him to level up, and, you know, full recharge. It becomes tactical now out of combat, and it becomes tactical to avoid or not avoid a combat to your liking. So it just adds a more tactical feel to it than, oh, I'm just gonna go resting and in it every time. And it is debatable whether that is good or bad, but that's something that I originally thought was bad and was like, okay, I've adapted to it. Now, in realizing this issue that I'm going to show you in this video, I went and researched it a little bit, and apparently Am Setsuna is falling into that category. Similar to what happened with the Fire Emblem series, there is a decent amount of censorship going on in this game as it came over from Japan and was localized for Western audiences. Some things like X Strike in this game was formerly X Cut, and there's just, well, not quite as bad as like the Fire Emblem series of what happened there, which is now notorious. There's been some minor nuances, but I'm in this cave over here with this little kid who's a monster, who realized his mother monster, something happened. I don't want to give a spoiler here. And you're like, okay, well, this stuff is done. We're going to leave. And then you run into somebody. And you immediately kind of feel she's a very bitchy character. So I went to call her Twatly Jones, just as a joke. I mean, this is not an online game. This is a single-player game owned by an adult. First of all, okay, so we hit the character limit over here. Watch what happens if I were to call her Twatly John, which would be short for Twatly Jones. No, it's edited, and I was like, oh, okay. And, alright, I was like, alright, I will, delete. I was like, okay, so yeah, you know, Twatly's considered pretty much a curse, so I went to call her Douchekins. Nope. All of douche is edited out. So I'm gonna hit no. And we're going to delete. And let's try, now this is a popular one from the World of Warcraft forums. If you go say like grape as in grape soda, or grape soda, okay, alright, let's see grape shot. Let's see if this is edited because grape is part of grape. Look at that. Grape shot, which is an English word that was in the dictionary of the PlayStation's autofill. I haven't tried grape shot before. No. People are talking about this next one. This is the one that people noticed a lot. So somebody had said that Christos was edited. Or Christos. Look, folks, come on now. This is absolutely fucking ridiculous here. This is a single player. This is a single player game. Oh, alright, so apparently we can get Vaggie through, which is probably what it's gonna wind up being. I'm sure this will all be asterisk. Let's take a look at this. Yep. I mean, who are you censoring this from? Why is this being... That's what... So, okay, apparently ass is okay. You know, so rape in the middle of grape was censored, but ass in the middle of bass isn't. What is going on here? I mean, who decided to censor these things, I mean, this is utterly ridiculous. And I mean, this is actually something that I am a little bit familiar with as games cross the border between Eastern and Western audiences. When a game is created in Asian markets and it comes over to the States, a lot of sexual related things tends to be what is censored. For example, one of the most oldest forms of censorship that goes back a long ways, although this is only in modern copies of the game, Celis in Final Fantasy VI goes through what is an implied rape scene when she's in jail with the Empire and Empire soldiers. Modern versions of Final Fantasy VI have that edited out, if I remember this correctly. When Western games change over to the Eastern markets, the Asian markets, what gets censored out is actually language. So when it comes from East to West, sexuality and boobs and skimpy wear and everything like that tend to be what is censored out. But when it goes from West to East, it tends to be language that is censored out. So maybe if you were to type in the Japanese equivalent of twat, it would be allowed, but because this came over to American audiences, maybe they thought that was a bad thing. But I mean, what is the deal with this censorship? I mean, they were okay, so apparently VAG is okay, but once you actually, you know, VAGGY was okay, but if you go like, you know, I guess it shows you never go full vag, but I mean, this is so ridiculous and just scattershot at this point. This ought to be really funny at this point. You gotta be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. I mean, who... The thought that they would know that random American vernacular and get that one out shows that they probably had a primary English speaker doing the censorship rather than somebody who was Japanese as a primary language, who knew English or studied English in school and said, okay, you know, I'll handle working on the American censorship. I believe this really feels like it was handed to a primary English speaker and said, okay, help us edit out what's going to be offensive here. And I mean, I've heard of this stuff before, but it usually is in MMOs. Like a long time ago, even though I never played it, was a now infamous MMO called The Matrix Online, obviously based on the Matrix movies. You were not allowed to do anything that was close to Neo or The One or anything like that. I believe in Lotro, Lord of the Rings Online, like Legolas and, you know, any of the movie characters, you really couldn't come close to. Though censorship there makes sense. And World of Warcraft, on the forums, we've said, like, grape, because it has rape in it, you can't do it. My Warlock in vanilla World of Warcraft made it from 1 to about level 48 as the phonetic spelling of fellatio. It was just an in-joke. It was a joke grenade where she was, it was spelled out P-H-E-L-A-Y-S-H-E-O. And it was like, oh, I get it. So I made it until level 48, until finally somebody reported it. I had to change it. Now it's Faye Valentine after Cowboy Bebop. But like, I honestly think I'm gonna call her Fellatio just out of spite, because this is... my This is just a middle finger at the censorship in this game now, because this is absolutely ridiculous that a private game that is not online, has no online components, is rated however this is rated, being played by an adult. Why am I subject to this censorship? It's not as if the game was using these words. It's not like this group came upon this lady and in the Japanese localization they were like, oh my god, you are such a fucking bitch. And oh no, we have to change that to the American version going, you're not a nice lady. That's not what we're looking at. This is a human controlling the name of a character. Who are you protecting from this? Is it to get a game rating, to keep a game rating lower than it should? Like, in Heroes of the Storm, Tychus no longer has his cigar so that it doesn't promote smoking, so that you can have the rating available to a lower level, whereas in StarCraft, he did have the cigar, the rating was more adult. This is ridiculous censorship and is absolute trash, and I really hope a lot of people watch this video and go, my god, this is awful and ridiculous. And Nameplum's right. Why should we be subject to censorship of a character's name you create on your own game, in your own house, for your eyes only? Absolutely ridiculous. So let me know what you guys think below about some of these words that were censored over here. Peace out, everybody. Have a good one.